Today we are torture testing the brand new polymer ceramic spray coating from Superior Products. So let's not waste any time, let's get straight into it. Yo, what is up guys? Jamie from Jamie's Detailing. Today we are finally torture testing these brand new coatings from Superior Products, specifically the polymer ceramic spray coating from Superior Products. Now this is the slightly cheaper of the two. It is a few dollars cheaper than the graphene spray coating, but overall they should have very similar formulas, meaning that they should have very similar durability overall. Now today's torture test is not an overall durability test, and it is no way an accurate representation of the actual long-term durability that we would get out of a properly maintained coating. But today I just want to have a little bit of fun and test the chemical resistance of these coatings. So behind me I actually have a whole gambit of different chemicals that I use each and every day for regular detailing. So I want to see how the coating handles different high pH chemicals or alkaline chemicals, how it handles acidic chemicals or low pH chemicals, and I want to see how it handles something even as strong as a very strong solvent like Goo Off Professional. So I actually think I'm going to call this Jamie's Gambit. So if you have a chemical that you guys want me to test on the detailing rig, I would actually love to test it out and run it through this exact same gambit. So we're going to go ahead and use the back door of the detailing rig as a test panel today, and we're going to go ahead and torture test this thing and run it through the gambit. So let's go ahead and start off with our very first chemical. Now before we start this test, we want to get a baseline of what our hydrophobic properties currently look like. So we're going to first check out what the beading and the sheeting looks like. Here we are coming in with our 40-degree pressure washer tip, and this is how we're going to actually test the beading. You guys can see we got super good beading here on the panel. That is some very good beading. All right, so that is our baseline for you guys to go off of. You guys can see we have really good beading here on the panel. So let's switch over to our rain. So let's go ahead and switch over to our shower nozzle, and we will test out the sheeting. That is some pretty good sheeting performance, guys. We got a dry panel down here, so that is some pretty good sheeting right there. Very happy with that. Not bad at all. So now that we have a baseline, let's go ahead and run this thing through the gambit of chemicals. So our first chemical in the gambit today is Road Warrior from Superior Products. I use it a ton as a pre-wash soap out of a foam cannon, typically at around 100 to 1. I also use Road Warrior a ton of times as an actual contact wash. Today I have my pump sprayer here with it mixed up at 10 to 1. Now at 10 to 1, I typically am using Road Warrior to wash stuff like semi-truck wheels, tires, and chassis. So this is definitely mixed up a lot stronger, about 10 times stronger than what I would typically use it at, but it is also a pH neutral chemical, so I'm still hoping that this should not affect the hydrophobics whatsoever. So first we're going to try this guy out as a pre-wash with just the classic spray and rinse off kind of method. So let's go ahead and test this guy out. Might want to pump it up. So let's go ahead and test this guy out as a pre-wash here on the surface. Put plenty on there for you guys. Way more than I would ever use. So we're gonna go ahead and let this guy sit for approximately 60 seconds. If I can find my stopwatch here. Not timers. Stopwatch. All right, so we're gonna throw 60 seconds here on the clock, guys. And as soon as that 60 seconds is up, we'll go ahead and rinse her off. All right, guys, and our 60 seconds has now gone by, so we're gonna go ahead and rinse this guy off. All right, and as you guys can see, our pH neutral Road Warrior did not do anything to the hydrophobics. Still looks just as good as it did before, but now I actually want to use it as a contact wash. So we're just gonna go ahead and spray this down one more time. And I'm gonna go grab a little wash media while that dwells. Now this guy is actually gonna be representing our contact wash. So let's go ahead and contact this up real quick. Just on our door here. We'll hashtag it. All right. We're still getting very good beating. All right, guys, so we are still getting very good beating. Right here, it looks like it's sheeting a lot, so just something to keep an eye on for this test. All right, so we made it past Road Warrior for both a pre-wash and a contact wash, but now let's see what happens if we hit it with some Dark Fury. Dark Fury you can also use as a pre-wash, but most people know Dark Fury as a wheel cleaner. This is a really high alkaline cleaner, and typically this would strip out any wax or any type of protection that you guys have on the vehicle. So let's go ahead and spray this on our paint real quick. We're gonna let that dwell for a minute. Are you set? So we're gonna go ahead and let this guy dwell for 60 seconds here on the panel, and we're gonna come back and give it a rinse. Oh, and this is also mixed up at 4:1, so pretty much its strongest dilution ratio that you would typically be using for wheels. And typically on the paint, I'm really only using Dark Fury at closer to 8:1 or 10:1 on the paint. So this is a little strong for, you know, paint, the paint, but let's see how it works with this coating. And it's been about 60 seconds, so let's go ahead and rinse this guy off. All right, guys, we're doing really good in most of this whole area, but maybe I applied it a little thin right here or something like that. But that Road Warrior definitely gave us a bigger hole in the protection right there. So I would definitely not be using Road Warrior on the spray coating. Up next, guys, we have Wheel Acid. This is wire wheel cleaner from Superior Products, mixed up at 4:1. So again, guys, this is pretty much the strongest that you guys would use this particular Wheel Acid. This is a very, very strong Wheel Acid, and normally you would only let this sit on the paint for maybe 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So we're really only gonna let this sit for 30 seconds on the test panel here, and we're gonna see how it does with the how the hydrophobics look when we're finished. All right, let's go ahead and give this 30 seconds, and then we're gonna come back and see how it does with the hydrophobics. What up? How's it going?
Are you trying to be quiet enough for you to
Yeah, just filming a little YouTube video quick. What you guys doing? Look for somebody to play?
No, we're waiting for Alicia to get home with Alicia.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, yeah, I'll definitely see you guys a little later, though.
What do you do on your YouTube channel?
Just testing out some detailing chemicals.
Oh.
Yep.
How many followers do you have?
Like 7,000 something. It's not that many.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot for me. Alright, I gotta rinse this guy off though. I'm way past my time. Alright guys, and we're gonna go ahead and rinse off this acid really quick. So now that we got our first 3 chemicals on the test panel and rinsed off, let's actually see how the hydrophobics are performing now. So first we're gonna hit it with our shower nozzle. Yeah, I would say there is a little bit of a diminishing in the overall quickness of the sheeting and the beading. Let's go ahead and test that out. The beading is still doing really good, guys, but if you guys pay very close attention, we have a hole in our protection right here, and we have a slight hole in our protection right there. Now, this could be something as simple as an application error, when this would obviously be me applying the product wrong on the panel, or it could be the fact that these chemicals ate away at the coating in those little areas, or a little bit of a combination of the two. Maybe I applied it a little thin right there compared to the rest of the panel. As you guys can see, we still have perfectly fine protection. Up next, guys, is Purple X. This is Superior Products iron remover. This is a very strong iron remover. It actually comes as a concentrate, and you actually need to dilute it 1:1 to get it to its ready to use form. So I got this in here at 1:1. This is pretty much just a standard regular old dilution ratio for this stuff. So let's see how it does with this coating. So we did notice that we have a little bit of a hole right here and a hole right here. So let's just kind of see how it does with our iron remover. Normally I do not even use this much iron remover, probably on a whole like half of a car. So that's a lot of sprays of iron remover right there. So let's go ahead and give our iron remover 30 seconds, just like our acid. We're gonna just see how it does with this. Now, chemicals that are this strong, they really should be getting in between the bond of most protections that are being put on a car. So really any protection that can get through some of these chemicals, any ceramic type protection that can get through some of these chemicals is going to be a good spray type coating or a good spray sealant. So yeah, let's just see how it does with the purple. Oh, forgot to hit start. So yeah, let's see how it does with Purple X, guys. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds. I kind of lost track of time there. Let's see what kind of beating we're getting. That hole is definitely getting bigger over here on the left. And before we move on, let's go ahead and test the sheeting real quick, guys. I want to see what the sheeting is looking like. Sheeting is slowing down a little bit, guys. It definitely slowed down. And we'll do a full comparison of the before and after when we're done with this, guys. So this guy right here is Muscle Magic mixed up at 4:1. This is pretty much the strongest that I ever use Muscle Magic at. But I would typically use this maybe for tires, and I'm really only using it for the grimiest of stuff on a vehicle, and it's usually only on wrecked vehicles. So we're gonna go ahead and try this guy out real quick. You guys can kind of compare Muscle Magic, if you never used it, to something like Super Clean, but it is a little bit more concentrated. So we're gonna go ahead and spray this on the surface here. And I will tell you guys that Muscle Magic can pretty much kill any type of protection. It is a very, very strong cleaner. And really the only thing that's going to withstand Muscle Magic is a true ceramic coating. So I'm very curious how the actual spray coatings can handle something as strong as Muscle Magic. All right, so we're gonna give our Muscle Magic here about 30 seconds to a minute. The acid definitely sat on there longer than I would typically let acid sit on paint, so that definitely opened up a little hole over there on the right. All right, guys, and our minute just went by with our Muscle Magic, so let's go ahead and rinse that off. Ooh, now we got it. Now we got it, guys. So now the panel definitely looks like it needs some protection on it. You can notice a bunch of holes. We got some tiger stripes in here, and this kind, we'll talk about that at the end maybe. Very, very interesting, guys. I'm actually learning more about myself right now than I am about this coating. Let's keep moving. So now that we got Muscle Magic at 4-to-1 rinsed off, let's go ahead and check the overall hydrophobic performance real quick. It's first starting with the beading. All right, one more time. So that's what our beading is looking like on the panel. Now where we are having beading, I'm pretty happy with the beading that we are getting. But as you guys can see, we can actually see some lines where there is no protection on that panel, where the protection is really just diminished a ton, and we're really not getting the beading up that we're looking for, and now it's just straight sheeting off of those areas, meaning that a lot of that protection is pretty much gone. So now that you guys got an idea of the beading, let's go ahead and test the sheeting with our Rain Covo shower nozzle. So after testing the beading and the sheeting after Muscle Magic, we definitely have a very diminished panel at this point. Now we are still getting some pretty good hydrophobics in certain areas of the panel, which kind of tells me that maybe I didn't apply enough ceramic to this panel. Again, this was the very first vehicle that I applied this coating to, and even Dave reached out to me afterwards, and he told me, hey Jamie, you might have laid that down a little thin with that applicator, and I think that's actually what we're seeing right now. So I'm just going to include this in the video, so take that with a grain of salt. But we definitely are seeing some tiger striping here on the panel where we lost a lot of our protection, and that could be because of a bad application method, to be honest, and that's obviously on me. So in the areas where we do have protection, though, we do still have very good protection. We have good beading, and we have good sheeting in those areas. But again, guys, we do have have some areas where the protection has pretty much diminished. Now that we got done with our regular detailing chemicals, before we move on to our solvent, which I absolutely know is going to destroy the protection on this vehicle, we're actually going to hit this thing again with our wire wheel cleaner or our wheel acid. Now, a lot of times when you're working with a regular old ceramic coating, a true ceramic coating, not a spray coating, you can actually refresh that coating with acid. So just out of pure curiosity, I want to test this before we move on to our solvent. So we're just going to go ahead and do a quick spray on this panel. Woo, tripping up here. We're going to switch over to our 40 degree real quick. And we're going to see if this brings back the hydrophobics whatsoever. Okay guys, that always fascinates me, but if you guys go ahead and acid wash the vehicle, it did look like we got some of the hydrophobics back. So you guys can see, remember how big that hole was right here that we were just seeing a minute ago after the Muscle Magic? We had a huge gaping hole there where we just weren't really getting any beading whatsoever. And you guys can see that that beading is actually back after we did that quick little acid wash right there. So just again, out of curiosity, guys, pure curiosity right here. Nope. You still got a hole there, but it was beating a little bit better. So yeah, very interesting, guys. We definitely got a little bit better beading, especially on that upper left side of the panel right here, and we got a little bit better sheeting just after doing that acid wash. So if you guys are having a little bit of an issue not getting your hydrophobics, and you think the protection is still there, you may want to do a quick spray and rinse with some acid, just to see if you can get the hydrophobics back without having to relay down the coating. It does still feel pretty protected when you're drying it. It feels slick. Very interesting. All right, let's destroy it. Our last chemical in our gambit of chemicals is Goo Off Pro Strength. I find that this stuff can pretty much destroy any protection that's on a vehicle. I really only use this stuff when I have really bad paint transfer that I can't get off easy with a magic eraser, or I have really bad road paint that got splattered on the clear coat of the vehicle. So that's really the only times that I use this stuff outside of like a little bit of a heat adhesive or something like that. But typically anytime I'm using this, I know that I'm going to have to reapply the protection. So I just dried off our test panel back here. So we're going to go ahead and apply this to, let's just say, the very center. I want to try to get a nice circle of it right in the middle. And we're going to see if this stuff can actually kill the protection in the middle of the panel. So let's go ahead and get this sprayed on our panel. And we can let it drip down and everything. We'll just let it do its thing. That's a lot of this stuff. Alright guys, and just like if I was using it on a legit vehicle, we'll just go ahead and rub that area. Let's pretend we're getting some road paint off of here right now. So I'm just gonna go right here in the middle of the panel. Hope I'm not blocking any of the camera angles, but we're just gonna rub that in a little bit. I can still see it. It's pretty much dried. but we're gonna see if we get a nice hole in the protection right there in the middle. All right, let's go ahead and rinse that. 3 now have a dead panel here in the center. You guys can see over on the left and the right and the very top, and even it down here at the bottom, we do still have some protection. But right here in the middle of the panel is in fact dead. So we'll even take a little bit of acid and just see if we, maybe the goo off just clogs the coating. I kind of doubt it. Yep, we got a nice dead panel now, guys. So we just got done running this thing through the full gambit of chemicals. So now let's go ahead and test out the hydrophobics. So when it comes to beading, guys, the beading is actually doing surprisingly well. Even over on this left-hand side over here, we're still getting okay beading. But that middle of the panel where we put that solvent, that is definitely dead at this point. But I'm actually relatively surprised that the rest of the panel is even performing as good as it is, especially after Muscle Magic at 4-to-1. So really, really good performance, or at least really, really good beading so far. So now that we know how the beading is performing, let's go ahead and check out the sheeting. And also, guys, I get asked almost every video that I use these in, but I always get asked, what are those little things that hold the tips on your pressure washing gun? These are actually one of the sponsors. He was the very, very first sponsor here on the channel. His name's Michael. He owns Mad Car Care, and he sells these awesome tip holders. So if you guys need tip holders for your pressure washing guns, they work on a variety of different guns, and they just kind of zip tie on there. Not really a zip tie because they're reusable, but you just kind of pull this little guy on and off. I don't want to take it off right now because I like exactly where it's at, but these things are absolutely awesome, guys. He sent me 2 of them almost a year ago now, and I've been using them ever since, and these things seem super, super durable. But yeah, I really love these tip holders. So I always leave a link in the description for any of the sponsors. So if you guys want to check that out and get these at a small discount, you guys can always do that, and you're helping out the channel a little bit. But getting back to our test, guys, let's go ahead and test out the sheeting of this panel. So yeah, guys, much slower sheeting than what we were getting before. Even if I just show you guys this panel right here, I mean that water just dances off the panel. Getting really good beading, really good sheeting, and then coming over to here, it's a completely different story. So anyways, guys, this was the torture test for Superior Products brand new polymer ceramic spray coatings. I thought that this torture test went relatively well. We already know that we're not supposed to use super acidic products on a ceramic coating. We also know that we're not supposed to use super high pH chemicals on a ceramic coating. So I think that if you guys stick with your normal pH neutral chemicals for washing your guys' ceramic coated car, you are definitely going to get the most out of your coating. But this will definitely tell you guys what you can't use on the vehicle. Let me know what you guys thought of this torture test today. This is my very first time doing a torture test like this. Obviously I strip wash vehicles and I've purposely removed waxes and sealants before, but I've really never tried to remove a ceramic coating or a spray coating. Usually that's something that I'm keeping on the vehicle for a period of time. I think if you stick with pH neutral chemicals for your guys' maintenance wash processes, you guys should have a really good experience with this coating overall. And I have been using it for the past month, which is obviously nowhere near a year yet, but I'm really liking the coating so far, and I'm loving the way that it's performing. And you guys even saw it 30 days after I actually applied the coating, well, 29 or so days after I applied the original coating. But it's still performing really good, just like the day that I put it on. So as long as you're not hitting it with abusive type chemicals, you guys should have a really good experience with this coating. So anyways, guys, let me know if you guys want me to test any other chemicals like this in the future. I love testing different chemicals out, and I would love to run more chemicals through this exact gambit of different chemicals, going all the way from Road Warrior to, you know, Dark Fury and our acid and muscle magic and all that stuff. So I think this would be a really good kind of chemical test for a lot of different spray coatings and even regular ceramic coatings out there. So anyways, that is our torture test of the new polymer ceramic spray coating from Superior Products. Let me know what you guys thought of the test down in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.